Welcome, everyone. We're just taking a few moments to admit participants from the waiting room. Please note everyone is muted. An American Sign Language interpreter will be available for the duration of this meeting in conjunction with closed captioning or live transcription. We will walk participants through an orientation on how to participate in a few moments. In the meantime, please use the chat or raise hand feature on your toolbar, *9 if you're dialing from your phone, and a member of the team will assist you. Good evening and welcome to the General Project Plan and Draft Environmental Impact Statement, or Draft EIS, public hearing for the Brooklyn Developmental Center Mixed-Use Project. My name is Marlene Bauer with InGroup, and I've been asked by the New York State Urban Development Corp., doing business as Empire State Development, or ESD, to conduct this virtual public hearing pursuant to Section 16 of the New York State Urban Development Corporation Act, the UDC Act, and Article 8 of the New York State Environmental Conservation Law and its implementing regulations. I'll be the hearing moderator for this hearing, which runs from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Tonight, I'm also joined on screen by Allison Beha, Empire State Development Vice President of Real Estate Development and Planning, Kate Habeck, STV Consultant Project Manager, an American Sign Language interpreter, and off-screen by representatives from the project team who will address the technical aspects of this hearing. Tonight's hearing is being held pursuant to a legal notice published in accordance with the UDC Act and the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SEQRA, in the May 21st, 2021 edition of the New York Daily News. The purpose of this hearing is to afford you an opportunity to make statements and comments about ESD's general project plan and the draft EIS with respect to the Brooklyn Developmental Center mixed-use project. My purpose is to run the hearing in a fair and impartial manner and to try to ensure everyone who wishes to speak has an adequate opportunity to be heard. Please note, this is not a question and answer session. It is instead an opportunity for you to present your views so that ESD can consider them in making its final determinations. Please note, this hearing is being recorded and a stenographic transcript is being made. A link to the full recording of this hearing will be made available on ESD's website. These proceedings are also being broadcast live via Brooklyn Free Speech TV. By participating in this meeting, you are granting permission to have your name, voice, and likeness recorded, broadcast, and posted to the ESD website. Again, the full recording of this meeting, along with a copy of the full transcript, will be made available on ESD's project website within 3 to 5 days of this meeting. Tonight's hearing for the Brooklyn Developmental Center mixed-use project. Comments should be focused on the general project plan or draft EIS for this project only. Pre-registered speakers will have 3 minutes each to provide their comments. We ask that speakers exercise civil conduct during public comments. Speakers who use inappropriate language or act inappropriately will be cautioned or may be muted before being allowed to continue. Continued uncivil behavior will result in removal from the meeting. American Sign Language interpretation is being provided on screen along with closed captioning. Please use the chat feature or email careteam@ingroupinc.com with any technical issues you may be experiencing. We will now share a pre-recorded Zoom orientation on how you can participate in tonight's hearing.
For those of you joining via Zoom, when you enter the presentation, you were greeted with a film strip of presenters on one side with the presentation on the other. As you move your mouse over to the bottom portion of your screen, you will find controls. There are chat, raise hand, live transcription, and leave meeting buttons. Chat is a way for participants to communicate with our staff, ideally to sign up to make a public comment. To do this, click on the chat button, enter a message, request comment with your first and last name into the chat box. Our staff will confirm that you are being placed into the speaker queue in the order that you signed up. Speakers will be prioritized based on pre-registration before the meeting, followed by signups that occurred during this meeting. Live transcription is to modify settings for closed captioning, including the ability to hide or enlarge it. Leave, click on this button to leave the meeting. Additionally, to enlarge the speakers, slide this bar to the left. This will make the presentation screen smaller. Next, this screen provides instructions for providing comments during the Brooklyn Developmental Mixed-Use Project General Project Plan and Draft Environmental Impact Statement hearing today. If you signed up before the hearing during the registration process, we have your name and you will be called individually during the public comment portion of this hearing, so you do not need to sign up again. Mute is automatically set to off and will only appear once you have signed up to speak. Once it is your turn to speak, you will need to unmute yourself before making a public comment. Start video is only available when making a public comment. This optional feature allows all participants to see you when you are making a public comment. For those of you joining this Zoom meeting from your computer, you can sign up to speak by using the chat or raise hand feature. If you click on chat, simply type in request to make a comment with your first and last name and affiliation, if you have one, into the chat box. Our staff will confirm that you are being placed on the speakers list in the order you signed up. Likewise, if you click on the raise hand feature during the meeting at any time, our staff will initiate a chat with you to confirm your first and last name and affiliation, if any, and will confirm that you are being placed into the speakers list in the order you signed up. Just a note, if you joined by phone only, you can enter *9 to let our team know that you want to make a comment, and you'll be automatically added to the speakers list. Since there is no way to edit a Zoom profile on the phone, you will be included to the speakers list and identified by the area code and last 4 digits of the telephone number you are calling from. Speakers can sign up to make public comment until 7:45 p.m. This virtual public hearing will continue until all who have signed up before the 7:45 p.m. deadline have had a chance to speak. Speakers will be prioritized based on pre-registration before the meeting, followed by signups that occurred during the meeting. When we are ready to start with the public comment portion, your name will be added to the list of upcoming speakers that will be displayed on the screen. You will be identified by your first and last name, if using a computer, or by the area code and last 4 digits of your phone number if you are just dialing in from your phone. Live transcripts via voice recognition technology will be enabled during the virtual public hearing tonight. Please excuse typos. Please select the live transcript button to either hide this feature or to adjust the size of the closed captioning. For technical support, use the raise hand feature or email careteam@ingroupinc.com so that a member of the team can assist you.
I'd like to now introduce Allison Beha, Empire State Development, Vice President of Real Estate Development and Planning, to say a few words of welcome and introduce a presentation.
Thanks, Marlene. Good evening. My name is Allison Beha, and I'm Vice President of Real Estate Development and Planning at Empire State Development, or ESD. I'm the project manager for the Brooklyn Developmental Center Mixed Use Project. We appreciate all of the stakeholders who are participating in this virtual meeting tonight. We would much rather be with you in person, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic and restrictions on public gatherings, we're conducting this as a virtual meeting. What you're about to hear is a pre-recorded presentation with my voice describing the project, which we recorded ahead of time to ensure that the technology for our meeting would go smoothly. Following my recording, you will hear from Cade Hobbick of STV, the environmental consulting firm that assisted ESD in the draft environmental impact statement, or DEIS. CADE will provide information about the DEIS analysis, impacts that it identified, and how those impacts are being mitigated. I will be here live for the entirety of the meeting, listening to your comments. ESD will collect comments until July 26th, and then we will provide a public response later this year. Thank you all for being here. The proposed project is part of Governor Cuomo's Vital Brooklyn initiative, a comprehensive strategy to address chronic social, economic, and health disparities in central Brooklyn. The project envisions the redevelopment of approximately 27 acres to provide affordable housing in East New York, which is located within one of the most socially and economically disadvantaged areas of New York State, with measurably higher rates of obesity, diabetes, and high blood pressure, limited access to healthy foods and opportunities for physical activity, high rates of crime, wide economic disparities from unemployment and poverty levels, and inadequate access to high-quality health care and mental health services. The proposed project seeks to ameliorate these conditions by creating a community that is health-based and centered around open space, provides walkable access to retail destinations and the new Shirley Chisholm State Park, and provides space for jobs and activities that will support community health, such as meal delivery services and urban farming. The former Brooklyn Developmental Center, or BDC, is located in the Spring Creek area of East New York, Brooklyn. It's operated by the New York State Office of People with Developmental Disabilities, or OPWDD, and it is owned by the Dormitory Authority of New York, or DASNY. The 7 buildings on the campus were used to provide services and residences to New Yorkers living with developmental and intellectual disabilities. OPWDD is now consolidating and relocating the services it provided at the site. In collaboration with New York State Homes and Community Renewal, or HCR, ESD published a request for proposals seeking high-quality, mixed-use, wellness-oriented redevelopment proposals with affordable and supportive housing components for this site. A team comprising Apex Building Company, L&M Development Partners, Riseboro Community Partnership, and Services for the Underserved, or SUS, was selected to acquire and redevelop the site with a proposal based on a concept called Blue Zones, which is an urban planning approach modeled after communities across the world that have the longest lifespans. The proposed project includes the demolition of the existing buildings on the site and the construction of approximately 2,623 new units of affordable housing, including more than 200 units set aside for senior citizens and approximately 500 units designated as supportive housing. It also includes 143,992 square feet of commercial space and approximately 55,384 square feet of community facility space, which includes a community center, a senior center, and a health clinic operated by One Brooklyn. It also includes approximately 29,746 square feet of light manufacturing space, including indoor agriculture and a kitchen where Meals on Wheels meals will be produced. The project will also provide public open space and a new urban farm. To effectuate the project, ESD would override municipal zoning to allow for the development of more affordable housing than would be permissible under current zoning, and to implement other components consistent with the project's goals. ESD is authorized to do this under the Urban Development Corporation Act, or UDC Act. ESD has drafted a general project plan, or a GPP, which outlines the project for the ESD board and the public to review. The GPP, which you can find on the ESD website, contains a summary of the business terms for the proposed development, UDC Act findings for land use improvements and residential projects, an explanation of the proposed zoning override, as well as other parameters for the development. Per the UDC Act, ESD is creating design guidelines for the project to be applied in lieu of zoning, which will establish a physical neighborhood similar to and compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. On the screen, you will see a timeline for the project. ESD first issued a notice of lead agency, a positive declaration, public scoping, and intent to prepare a draft environmental impact statement on September 14th, 2020, which was distributed by email and posted on ESD's website, along with a draft scope of work. A public scoping meeting was held on October 14th, 2020, and the comment period on the draft scope of work ended on November 13th, 2020. Tonight, June 24th, 2021, is our public hearing on the draft environmental impact statement and the general project plan. We will accept comments on those documents until July 26th. We expect to issue a final EIS this fall and commence construction in 2022. Construction of the proposed project is expected to occur in multiple phases, with the first phase of construction beginning in 2022 and the final phase completing in 2030, with full occupancy expected in 2031. Now I'll turn it over to Cade Hobick from STV to discuss the draft environmental impact statement.
Thank you, Allison. Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Cade Hobick of STV Incorporated, and we are supporting ESD's environmental review efforts. As Allison explained, I will be spending a few minutes this evening summarizing the key aspects of the recently completed Draft Environmental Impact Statement, or Draft EIS, also called DEIS, during which time I will review the technical analyses conducted and summarize the key findings. The proposed project, which would be the redevelopment of a portion of Block 45H6, Lot 300 in Brooklyn, New York, which Allison just described, is a Type 1 action per the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SEQRA, S-E-Q-R-A. ESD determined that the proposed project could have significant adverse impacts. Therefore, an environmental impact statement, or EIS, is being prepared to assess potential environmental impacts of the proposed actions, to present mitigation measures, and to explore alternatives that can avoid or reduce potential impacts. This evening, I will discuss the draft EIS, or DEIS, which was published on May 20th, 2021, and is available for public and agency review and comment. All comments on the draft EIS and the general project plan must be received by ESD as of 5:00 p.m. Monday, July 26th. Because the project is located in New York City, ESD, as the lead agency for the preparation of the EIS, has followed the guidance, methodologies, and thresholds presented in the New York City Environmental Quality Review, or SEQR, CEQR, technical manual. The final scope of work to prepare an EIS, which ESD published in May, following public and agency review and comment on the draft scope of work, explains the technical areas examined in the EIS. As explained in the final scope of work, the draft EIS includes some analyses that are sufficiently complete at a screening level to determine that no significant adverse impacts would result, and that no further analysis is warranted. These include socioeconomic conditions, community facilities and services, specifically healthcare, police, and fire services, historic and cultural resources, water and sewer infrastructure, specifically water supply, energy, public health, and neighborhood character. For other technical areas, ESD has conducted detailed analyses, which are described in the draft EIS. These include project description, land use, zoning, and public policy, community facilities and services, specifically schools, childcare, and libraries, open space, shadows, urban design and visual resources, natural resources, hazardous materials, water and sewer infrastructure, specifically a water and sewer infrastructure assessment has been conducted, solid waste and sanitation services, transportation, air quality, greenhouse gas emissions, noise and vibration, construction impacts, mitigation, alternatives, and cumulative effects. The EIS also includes summary chapters, including an executive summary. These detailed analyses led to the determination that once the proposed project is fully constructed and occupied, it could result in significant adverse impacts as follows: indirect impacts on early childhood programs, indirect impacts on libraries, and impacts to traffic, transit, and pedestrian conditions. In addition, the analyses of potential construction period effects resulted in the determination that the following significant adverse impacts could occur: impacts to traffic, transit, and pedestrians during construction, a parking shortfall during construction, and construction noise, which would be significant in magnitude, though not in duration. Based on these findings, as presented in the draft EIS, ESD has explored practicable and feasible mitigation measures to eliminate or reduce these impacts to less than significant levels. ESD would require implementation of the following mitigation measures as part of the proposed project. To mitigate indirect impacts to early childhood programs, early childhood program space will be provided on-site in consultation with the New York City Department of Education. However, if the mitigation identified proves infeasible, this impact may remain unmitigated and unavoidable. To mitigate indirect impacts to libraries, on-site access to low-cost or free internet and computer lab areas and reading areas will be provided for all proposed project residents. Other potential mitigation measures include adding volumes or building space in the local library branch, or creating programs for new users in consultation with the Brooklyn Public Library. ESD remains in consultation with the Brooklyn Public Library to confirm the findings presented in the draft EIS. That is, to confirm that the proposed project would result in a significant adverse impact. If the Brooklyn Public Library concurs with this finding, then this impact may remain partially unmitigated and unavoidable. In order to mitigate the traffic impacts, which would be the reduced level of service at 10 intersections, traffic engineering improvements would be implemented in consultation with the New York City Department of Transportation. These could fully mitigate significant impacts at several intersections. Impacts at 6 of the 10 intersections, however, would be potentially unmitigated. The decision to implement mitigation will be determined through a traffic monitoring program. Some impacts may remain unmitigated and unavoidable. For the highway impact, which would be a reduced level of service for the westbound Belt Parkway west of Erskine Street during the weekday AM and PM peak hours, mitigation could include travel demand management measures to reduce the vehicle trip demand to the Belt Parkway. However, no specific practicable travel demand management measures have been identified in the draft EIS that would effectively mitigate this impact. In the absence of practicable and effective mitigation strategies, this significant highway impact would remain unmitigated and unavoidable. To mitigate impacts to bus service, the MTA could increase the number of buses on key routes during peak hours, and as a result, this impact could be fully mitigated. With the proposed project completed, 2 stairs at the Euclid Avenue AC station would be congested. To address this impact, New York City Transit will be consulted to determine whether stair widening is feasible at this location. If no practicable and feasible mitigation is identified, then this impact may remain unmitigated and unavoidable. The New York City Department of Transportation will also be consulted to widen select crosswalks in the vicinity of the project site. And with this mitigation in place, impacts to pedestrians would be fully mitigated. Mitigation has also been identified for construction period impacts. During construction, traffic levels of service would be reduced at 2 intersections. To mitigate this impact, traffic engineering improvements and a traffic monitoring program will be implemented in consultation with the New York City Department of Transportation. With this mitigation in place, one of the 2 intersection impacts would be mitigated, and the other may remain unmitigated and unavoidable, pending the traffic monitoring program. We want to point out that these construction period traffic impacts at 2 intersections are identified and explained in the draft EIS in Chapter 20, Construction, and the mitigation measures are discussed in Chapter 23, Mitigation. While it is stated in Chapter 23, Mitigation, that the impact at one intersection could not be mitigated and would remain unmitigated, this information was not also repeated in Chapter 24, Unavoidable Adverse Impacts, or the Unavoidable Adverse Impacts section of the Executive Summary. An errata summary has been issued to address this and may be found along with the draft EIS on the ESD website. Bus service along select lines at certain time periods would also be affected during construction. To mitigate this impact, MTA could increase the number of buses during these times, and the impacts to buses during construction, as also would be the case with the full build condition, could be fully mitigated. Also, as noted for the full build condition, New York City Department of Transportation will be consulted to widen select crosswalks in the vicinity of the project site. And with this mitigation in place, impacts to pedestrians would be fully mitigated during construction, as they also would be in the full build condition. A parking shortfall would result during the construction period, though not in the full build condition. To ameliorate this construction period parking shortfall, approximately 90 parking spaces will be provided for construction worker parking on parts of the project site not under construction, and/or on the southeast corner of the block to partially mitigate this temporary parking shortfall. Finally, the proposed project would result in short-term construction noise impacts. To partially mitigate temporary noise impacts during construction, noise control measures will be implemented. In summary, with the mitigation measures identified in place, impacts to early childhood programs and to libraries are expected to be partially or fully mitigated. Impacts to bus service, both in the full build condition and during the construction period, are expected to be fully mitigated. Impacts to pedestrians, both in the full build condition and during the construction period, are expected to be fully mitigated. Traffic impacts are expected to be at least partially mitigated for both the full build condition and the construction period, with 4 of 10 intersections and 1 of 2 intersections, respectively, expected to be fully mitigated. The highway impact in the full build condition is assumed to remain unmitigated. The construction period parking shortfall will be reduced, and the short-term construction period noise impacts are expected to be partially mitigated. Finally, as explained in the final scope of work, ESD evaluated one alternative to the proposed actions, which essentially is what the project site would be in the future were the proposed actions not to occur. This no action alternative serves as a baseline point of comparison for analyses presented in the draft EIS. While the no action alternative would not result in any significant adverse impacts, it would not meet the purpose and need of the proposed actions. Again, thank you for joining us this evening, and thank you for your attention. Comments received before 5 p.m. Monday, July 26th, including any comments received this evening, will be addressed by ESD, and any necessary revisions will be incorporated into the final EIS. We look forward to hearing your comments on the draft EIS. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Allison and Kate, for that presentation. Now I'd like to take care of some administrative matters by asking the stenographer to mark the following documents as exhibits to the hearing transcript. Exhibit 1, a copy of the public hearing notice that appeared in the New York Daily News, along with the affidavit of publication. Exhibit 2, the general project plan. Exhibit 3, the notice of completion of the draft environmental impact statement for the project. Exhibit 4, the draft environmental impact statement, and Exhibit 5, a copy of the environmental notice bulletin dated June 9th, 2021, notice of acceptance of the draft EIS and public hearing. Thank you for marking those exhibits. Copies of the general project plan have been filed in the offices of the New York City and Kings County clerks and have been provided to the mayor of the city of New York and the Brooklyn Borough President, the chair of the New York City Planning Commission, and the chair of the Brooklyn Community Board Number 5. Copies of the draft EIS have been provided to all involved agencies and to other parties as required under SECRA. Members of the public can review a copy of the general project plan and draft EIS in a variety of ways. Paper copies are available by appointment, via email, written request, or on the ESD's website. Upon request, the general project plan and draft EIS may be inspected by appointment at ESD's offices located at 633 3rd Avenue, New York, New York, 10017, between the hours of 9:30 a.m. and 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, public holidays excluded. To inspect and or obtain copies of the foregoing documents, please contact ESD's representative, Stacy Turan, at 212-803-3729. The draft EIS can also be viewed on ESD's project website at esd.ny.gov/BDC. Aside from public oral comments during tonight's hearing, comments may also be submitted in writing on the general project plan or draft environmental impact statement via email to bdcproject@esd.ny.gov or by U.S. Postal Service to the address shown on the screen, and comments will be accepted until 5 p.m. on July 26, 2021. For more about the general project plan or draft EIS, you can visit the ESD website, and you'll see this information again periodically throughout the hearing if you need to take note of these addresses or instructions again. As we begin the testimony portion of the public hearing, I will once again share instructions for those wishing to speak. If you have signed up to speak before the hearing, during the registration process, we have your name and you'll be called in the order in which you registered. If you did not sign up to speak before the start of the hearing and would like to, please identify yourself using the raise hand or chat function on your Zoom toolbar. And if you're joining by phone only, you may dial *9 to indicate your desire to provide testimony. Participants using the raise hand, chat, or *9 feature will be added to the end of the speakers list, and the option to sign up to speak will end at 7:45 p.m. tonight. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to assure that everyone gets a chance to provide their comments here tonight. Elected officials will be provided the courtesy of speaking first, and members of the public who have registered to speak will either be called by their name, who logged in here tonight, or identified by the first and last digits of your phone number if you're using a dial-in option only. Periodically, you will see a list of names of several speakers on your screen so that you can prepare for your turn to make a comment. When I call your name or the first and last digits of your phone number, you will be asked to unmute yourself, and we will make sure that you are ready before we start the time clock. Feel free to follow the countdown clock on screen to remind you of the length of time you have left for your testimony. Otherwise, you'll be prompted verbally. With 3 minutes, once they've passed, you will be muted and you'll be invited to send any remaining comments to ESD's mailing or email address. When invited to speak and it's your turn, we ask that you please state your name and your affiliation if you have one for the record. As a reminder, this is a public hearing for the Brooklyn Developmental Center Mixed Use Project, and we encourage all speakers to focus their comments to the general project plan or draft EIS for this project. We also ask that speakers exercise civil conduct during their testimony. Speakers using inappropriate language will be muted and cautioned before being allowed to continue. Please also be reminded that this is not a Q&A session. So we'll now prepare for comments and advance the time clock. Now, before we begin with our registered speakers, we would like to recognize elected officials joining us tonight for comments, in particular, representing the 60th Assembly District, Assemblyman Charles Barron. Assemblyman Barron, we welcome you to provide comments. Please let us know when you are ready. We will wait a moment. Assemblyman Barron, would you be able to turn your camera on and unmute yourself so that we can hear you? You should be able to unmute yourself. Let's see if the technical team can assist. We're going to go to a 5-minute break as we sort out this, and we will be back in 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Assemblymember Barron. How are you?
Oh, could you see me? I can't see you.
I can see you. Yes, we're just bringing everybody back from the break so that we can
Okay.
hear from you.
So you let me know when.
Okay, it'll just be a minute.
Okay.
Welcome. Hi, Assemblyman Barron.
Hi, how are you?
Doing okay. I'm just let us know when you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Anytime.
I'm ready.
Excellent.
I got another meeting, so if I could hit right away, I appreciate it.
Please go ahead.
Oh, are you ready for me?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you very much for this opportunity to speak. This is a project that my office and the council member, Inez Barron's office, we've been monitoring very closely. It's a project coming out of the Vital Brooklyn project that we're very looking forward to the tremendous benefits for our community. It has everything a community needs. It's going to enhance affordability for housing. We made sure we negotiated that. It's also going to have health, and it's going to have job creation and the management. We are glad that some of it is going to go to Black developers and not just have the overwhelming developers that happens in the city. Is usually white developers. So we're very much appreciative of the fact that we will have Black developers creating jobs and at the same time creating a valuable institution. But this process, the environmental impact statement review or the environmental assessment process, is critical. Every project that has ever come into East New York, we've made sure that it is safe for our people. The mitigation of the environmental concerns, whether it's gas or pollutants in the earth, or whether it's traffic, congestion, or air pollution, is critical. This project will not go forward, as far as I'm concerned, unless all of those needs are met, unless there's a cleaning up of the area, and unless we address the traveling, the transportation issues, the pollution, air pollution issues, all of those issues have to be addressed before there's any excavation of the earth and before there's any really building of anything. So we've been assured that they will use all of the latest technology. There's enough technology around now that can really clean up toxic waste and anything else, gases that may be found. We are leaving no stone unturned to make sure that this project is safe to build housing on. So that's why I'm here tonight. I do have quite a few meetings to still yet attend. I came from one already, but I wanted to come by to say to my community that we'll be watching the environmental process very, very closely, and we'll be making sure that it is safe, like other places where they have. Just about every place in the city has to go through this. Whenever there's new housing being built or anything being built that's excavating earth, because years ago, all kinds of things under the earth. We have brownfields where factories were, and we have to make sure that that's cleaned up before they build anything on top of it. So that's what we'll be monitoring closely, and that's what this process is for. And if any of you in our community have any concerns, now's the time to raise them, and we'll make sure that your concerns will be taken very seriously and will be met. So I thank you for attending, all of you who are attending this, and I thank the agencies involved, the state involved, and I thank developers who are going forward. We're going to make this a clean, successful, powerful project for the East New York area. East New York is on the rise. We have more housing. We have new schools, 3 new schools that have come into the district. We have 5 parks renovated, and this is the renovation, the rebuilding, the rising of East New York, so that we can make sure that our community is a prosperous one and a safe one to live in, an affordable one where people can come and own houses, homes, and at the same time have affordable rentals. I thank you very much. I do have to go, but those of you who are asking questions from the community, ask your questions. Don't hold back, and then we'll see to it that they're properly addressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Assemblyman Barron. We appreciate your time and your comments.
Thank you. I have to leave.
We understand. Thank you. We are interested in receiving comments. If there are no speakers registered at the time, we may take another break. However, before we do that, we would very much encourage anyone who is attending this evening who would like to make a comment to raise their hand or let us know by using the chat function or *9 to indicate that you'd like to provide some comments here tonight. We will now be taking a brief 10-minute recess as folks get ready to speak. Thank you so much. Welcome back. Aside from oral public comments made during tonight's hearing, comments may also be submitted in writing on the general project plan or draft environmental impact statement via email to bdcproject@esd.ny.gov, or you may send comments via U.S. Postal Service to the address shown on screen, which is the ESD offices at 633 3rd Avenue, New York, New York, 10017. And comments will be accepted until 5 p.m. on July 26, 2021. For more about the general project plan or draft EIS, please visit ESD's website. That's esd.ny.gov. If you'd like to speak and make a comment tonight, please use the chat function or raise your hand or use *9 to let a member of the team know. They'll be able to get you in the queue. Written comments may be submitted by email to bdcproject@esd.ny.gov or mailed to the attention of Stacy Taryn, Empire State Development, 633 3rd Avenue, 37th floor, New York, New York. That was just added in the chat for those in attendance, and the project website was also added for your reference, esdny.gov BDC. And while we wait for folks to see if they'd like to make a comment, we can play the orientation on how to participate in tonight's hearing.
For those of you joining via Zoom, when you entered the presentation, you were greeted with a film strip of presenters on one side with the presentation on the other. As you move your mouse over to the bottom portion of your screen, you will find controls. There are chat, raise hand, live transcription, and leave meeting buttons. Chat is a way for participants to communicate with our staff, ideally to sign up to make a public comment. To do this, click on the chat button, enter a message, request comment with your first and last name into the chat box. Our staff will confirm that you are being placed into the speaker queue in the order that you signed up. Speakers will be prioritized based on pre-registration before the meeting, followed by signups that occurred during this meeting. Live transcription is to modify settings for closed captioning, including the ability to hide or enlarge it. Leave, click on this button to leave the meeting. Additionally, to enlarge the speakers, slide this bar to the left. This will make the presentation screen smaller. Next, this screen provides instructions for providing comments during the Brooklyn Developmental Mixed-Use Project General Project Plan and Draft Environmental Impact Statement hearing today. If you signed up before the hearing during the registration process, we have your name and you will be called individually during the public comment portion of this hearing, so you do not need to sign up again. Mute is automatically set to off and will only appear once you have signed up to speak. Once it is your turn to speak, you will need to unmute yourself before making a public comment. Start video is only available when making a public comment. This optional feature allows all participants to see you when you are making a public comment. For those of you joining this Zoom meeting from your computer, you can sign up to speak by using the chat or raise hand feature. If you click on chat, simply type in request to make a comment with your first and last name and affiliation, if you have one, into the chat box. Our staff will confirm that you are being placed on the speakers list in the order you signed up. Likewise, if you click on the raise hand feature during the meeting at any time, our staff will initiate a chat with you to confirm your first and last name and affiliation, if any, and will confirm that you are being placed into the speakers list in the order you signed up. Just a note, If you joined by phone only, you can enter *9 to let our team know that you want to make a comment, and you'll be automatically added to the speakers list. Since there is no way to edit a Zoom profile on the phone, you will be included to the speakers list and identified by the area code and last 4 digits of the telephone number you are calling from. Speakers can sign up to make public comment until 7:45 p.m. This virtual public hearing will continue until all who have signed up before the 7:45 p.m. deadline have had a chance to speak. Speakers will be prioritized based on pre-registration before the meeting, followed by sign-ups that occurred during the meeting. When we are ready to start with the public comment portion, your name will be added to the list of upcoming speakers that will be displayed on the screen. You will be identified by your first and last name, if using a computer, or by the area code and last 4 digits of your phone number if you are just dialing in from your phone. Live transcripts via voice recognition technology will be enabled during the virtual public hearing tonight. Please excuse typos. Please select the live transcript button to either hide this feature or to adjust the size of the closed captioning. For technical support, use the raise hand feature or email careteam@ingroupinc.com so that a member of the team can assist you.
Welcome back. Ella Willis, just wanted to reach out and see, I know that you had raised your hand and wanted just to double check and see if you wanted to speak tonight. We are interested in receiving your comments. If you could just let a member of our team know, or if you had another question that we could address for you. Again, if you're having some technical issues, you can also email careteam@ingroupinc.com. That's INGROUPINC.com. And for all attendees, if you're interested in making a comment, please do identify yourself using the raise hand, chat, or dial *9. And that'll indicate your desire to speak tonight. And it's getting close to 7:30. And, we wanted to let you know I will let you know that the option to speak will start to wind down in the next 15 minutes. But we do have a speaker. Ella Willis will be speaking, and let me know when you are ready. And if you would state your name and affiliation for the record. Please unmute yourself and turn your video on if you desire.
Yes, can you hear me?
Sure can. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. My name is Ella Willis. I am a resident of East New York. My family moved here in the 1950s when East New York was mostly Irish and Jewish, believe it or not. My mother retired from BDC after serving over 30 years there. So I felt it was important. I am familiar with Mr. Barron, and I thought it was very important to voice that we would like as a community for there to be consideration for wellness modalities as part of any program or holding space for those wellness modalities for African Americans who have been in this community. Oh, is the video stopped? Are you there? Can you still hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
It says the video has stopped. Okay. Anyway, So yeah, I just wanted to let you know that this is an aging community. We've aged beautifully. You know, we've been homeowners for over 50 years here. So we've been here before Star City was built, before Gateway was built. This was like a no man's zone when we moved to this community, and we watched it thrive. And we would like to let the developers know that in light of the residents that have been here for many, many decades, it would be nice for there to be some consideration for space being held, for wellness modalities, for facilities that can take care of the community that has fostered its growth. And so that's what, you know, I mean, we face gentrification, we face a lot of political and social issues in this part of town. And so many of us are wondering, you know, are we going to be gentrified out? Are we going to be aged out? And so even, you know, with those things, some of those being inevitable, we would just like more involvement with the developers with regard to what the community is needing and what sustains a community, especially a community that has had has absorbed a lot of trauma, you know, through some of the police activities, as well as, you know, minority activities. And so that's what I wanted to make sure of, that is mentioned. Even if I'm the only person on this mentioning it, it's the voice that's very important as we see this development come to our communities that, you know, we've been here for a long time and we want to make sure that we are being considered with whatever is taking place, because we're not leaving. We have heirs, you know, people will be benefiting and inheriting our properties that we have built up in our communities and the things that we've held space for. So we appreciate if the powers that be meet with the community and take those concerns at heart. Thank you. I can't hear you at all.
I said, thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. If you have additional comments, please remember you can do so by emailing or mailing them in. Right now, we're a little bit past 7:30, so we just want to remind everyone that the option to speak will end at 7:45, which is 15 minutes before the close of the hearing. So if you are interested in making a comment, please identify yourself, just raise your hand, use the chat function or dial *9 to indicate your desire to speak. And also a reminder that comments presented at this hearing will be taken into consideration by ESD as part of the final approval of the project, and that all comments will be addressed in the final environmental document. You may provide your comments again via email to bdcproject@esd.ny.gov or via standard mail. Our team on the chat is sharing all that information with you as well. So thank you. While we are waiting for folks to sign up, we can take a brief 10-minute recess again, and we will be back shortly. Welcome back. It's now 7:45 p.m. Registration to speak is now closed. Comments presented at the hearing will be taken into consideration by ESD as part of the final approval of the project, and all comments will be addressed in the final environmental document. Again, you may provide your comments via email or to the addresses that were shown here tonight. We are going to take a short 5-minute break before we move to close out the hearing. In the meantime, if you have any technical issues, feel free to chat with our team. Thank you. Welcome back. Just wanted to remind everyone, the general project plan and the draft EIS may be inspected by appointment at ESD's offices located at 633 3rd Avenue in New York between the hours of 9:30 and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, public holidays excluded, to inspect and or obtain copies of the draft environmental impact statement or general project plan. Please contact ESD representative Stacy Tarrant at 212-803-3729. And the draft EIS may also be viewed on the ESD's project website, which is esd.ny.gov/BDC. Now, before closing the hearing, I would like to invite Allison Beha, Empire State Development Vice President of Real Estate Development and Planning, to say a few words.
Thank you, Marlene, and thanks to everybody who joined us tonight. We appreciate your feedback, and as Marlene said, we welcome your feedback over the course of the next month until July 26th. So please be in touch with us if you have any questions. And as you can see on the screen, these are all the different ways that you can provide us with comments on the draft environmental impact statement and the general project plan. Thank you.
Thank you. We will keep this information on the screen along with some soothing music until the hearing is officially closed at 8 p.m. We will end tonight's hearing thanking you for joining us today for this general project plan and draft environmental impact statement public hearing for the Brooklyn Developmental Center mixed use project. And we will leave the submit comments screen with some soft music until we close out. Just to remind everyone, you can get the documents on the ESD website, which is esd.ny.gov/BDC. And you can continue to email us comments at bdcproject@esd.ny.gov or mail to the addresses shown, the 633 3rd Avenue, the 37th floor, New York, 10017. Again, all comments must be received by 5 p.m. on Monday, July 26th. We thank you and we wish you a good evening, and we will continue to leave this information on for a few more minutes as folks begin to leave the hearing tonight. Thank you so much for your time.